Hi, I'm Rich Springer, Senior Director of Product Management for Fortinet, and I'm joined by Nick from Rockwell. Nick, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Nick Creeth, Senior Global Product Manager for Cybersecurity Services at Rockwell Automation.
Well, Nick, glad to be here with you, and thanks for joining. And so we're here to talk about how we're securing operational technology, specifically how we're bringing cybersecurity solutions to OT. So we know that this space is filled with manufacturing that can include process manufacturing. We talk about food and bev. We can also talk about critical infrastructure like energy and water. From the Rockwell standpoint, this is anything that has Allen Bradley on it. So why don't you talk to us about why it's so important to secure these critical infrastructure and also vital processing assets?
So yeah, that's a great question. So in the OT environment, there's been a lot more influence of cyber criminals coming in to where OT is very vulnerable, especially with IT and OT convergence, where it now through the IT environment, it's successful to get into the OT, into the plant floor. So as an OT manufacturer or critical infrastructure, you need to be more mindful of what you're doing from cybersecurity practices and things that you're implementing to ensure that your critical infrastructure is going to be safe.
Right, and when we talk about securing these new spaces, we talk about the cyber journey. And so we have a lot of clients that are just starting out. We also have some that are kind of in the middle maturity, and then we have some that are on the more advanced. But we know that a majority of these customers are just getting started. And with that, we like to employ kind of first steps. We talk about visibility, we talk about segmentation, talk about use of FortiGate and also the Rugged series as well for harsh environments. Why don't you tell us about how we're using these combined forces, if you will, in order to bring security services to our clients?
We like to start talking with clients about the NIST cybersecurity framework. So identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover, and now governance. And using these 6 functions as a guideline to help them identify where they should start putting more of their focus and what they want to do within their cybersecurity journey. So Rockwell Automation, we have a suite of products that we like to support our customers with, and that goes across all 6 of those functions. And we want to be able to meet customers where they are so we can identify ways that we can help them be more efficient, more productive, more secure, and improve their security posture overall. So in partnering with Fortinet, we're able to provide these solutions to our customers. And with our portfolio products, we're able to really span across the entire framework. So if a customer is more interested in the detect portion, they're interested in how can I make sure that there's no anomalous behavior in my environment, that we can really focus on that for them and then provide solutions as they're growing their posture. Right.
Interesting, and it's a nice way that you've broken it up in order to provide focus. And then from the Fortinet standpoint, again, we're bringing hardware products, we're also bringing security products and SASE, so we're kind of throwing a lot in there. But with that, customers are probably going to need some help. So I mentioned some of the hardware and some of the boxes, if you will, but could you talk to us about some of the services that Rockwell's providing to help marry these solutions together?
Sure. So we split our services up into about 3 categories. We have assessment services like a cybersecurity risk assessment or network evaluation. We have deployment services that's helping customers deploy various tools. That'd be like potentially deploying Fortinet architecture. That could be deploying a intrusion detection or IDS system. That could be deploying endpoint detection and response and IDC. A variety of different things that we can help our customers with from a deployment perspective. And then finally, we have managed services, which overlay on top of everything to help our customers if they don't have the people, resources, or technology to really do that on their own. So with our managed services, we're really looking to augment their teams, and primarily what I focus on in our cybersecurity services is around our SOC capabilities, or Security Operations Center.
Interesting. I'm going to come back to SOC in just a second. It made me think of, again, a couple things from the Fortinet side to help with that as well as far as tools. I think of FortiManager, the ability to consolidate control and be able to push out policies and be really efficient with the limited resources that we have as far as people are concerned. And then I also think of new customers that are starting with FortiAnalyzer and then with FortiAnalyzer for OT, because with that, you're consolidating the data, but you're also baselining performance and doing certain reports, whether that be through NIST or CIS Top 20, or if it's on the electrical side with NERC SIP. So that's a nice way for OT customers that are just starting to get a baseline, and then to assess their inventories, vulnerabilities, and scoring. And then they can grow maturity through that. So some interesting combination of tools and software and services to help our customers just get started and mature their position. So let's come back to the SOC. So tell me what's going on with the OT SOC, because we know that's a pretty advanced concept for most, but let's talk about that. Tell me about it.
So what we're developing with Rockwell Automation and with our SOC capability is an offering called Security Monitoring and Response, where we're going to be able to ingest various data, whether that's an IDS, whether that's a firewall, endpoint detection and response, various logs, threat intelligence, and we aggregate all that information together. We take the information from our customers and bring that into our SOC. We have a SOAR, Security Orchestration and Automation Response, threat intelligence, and then our SOC analysts who support all of that. So what we bring to our customers is the tech stack and then the people who are capable to monitor their environment and then let them know if there's anything that needs to be escalated to then do any type of triage. We will use our SOC Tier 1 and SOC Tier 2 analysts to do as much triage as we can. But when we get to a point where we need to escalate something to a customer, we will provide guided response on what needs to be done to either quarantine or to investigate what's going on within the environment to ensure that there's a rapid response and there isn't anything that's brought down and any detriment to productivity.
Interesting, and that's a great highlight between what can be suggested, playbooked, and automated until you get this operational barrier when you need to hand it over.
Absolutely.
And then the operators will more likely be dictating from that point forward, but they're going in properly armed with the security measures. So that's great. Let's shift gears a little bit. I'm also hearing a lot about industrial data center. So could you also educate me a little bit on the IDC?
So with the IT-OT convergence and islands of automation that many manufacturers have, utilizing an IDC or industrial data center is very helpful to bring all of that together and to be able to put all that technology in one place. Therefore, bringing all of your applications, bringing all of a better scalability, and having kind of one security environment that everything's in. And then we provide the managed services on top of the IDC. So a customer doesn't need to worry about patching, they don't need to worry about updating the software. We take all of that responsibility for them and ensure that they can focus on what they really care about, and that being productivity or getting more things out the door depending on what type of industry they're in.
So that's great, and interesting you mentioned the IT-OT convergence piece, and I'll come back to that in just a second. But there's an increasing amount of Fortinet presence in these solutions. Can you expand on those a little bit?
So within our new IDC, we've got cutting edge technology from all the servers all the way up to the switching technology, where we're starting to use Fortinet FortiSwitch as one of our providers and one of the options for our customers, because we see you as a best-in-class partner and want to be able to provide that capability to our customers.
That's great, yeah. And that convergence, as I'm coming back to it, the unique part here too with Fortinet is that we have our OT security platform, but it's also at the enterprise level, the Fortinet security fabric. So that convergence piece is really the ability to work from IT to OT and back and forth if necessary. So that's a unique piece of the solutions, again, from a security operator standpoint, that we're just limited with as many people, as behind these solutions. So to be able to consolidate that is a great advantage. So that's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we have talked the solutions, we've talked the boxes, we've talked services, we've talked about convergence, talked about data centers. This can be really overwhelming for anybody just starting, and even those that are the mostly mature in their space as they're accelerating towards an OT SOC and moving towards conversion. You don't have to do this overnight, right?
Sure.
So talk to us about how we get started, best, kind of tips and tricks, if you will, for those who are just beginning.
So, I mean, that's a great question, because people are all across the continuum when it comes to maturity, and it could be with all of the things that are happening and the landscape ever expanding and all the things going on, that it could be very overwhelming.
Yeah.
So a very good place to start is just doing an overall assessment of your current state. Like, What are the assets that you have? What is the capability of your people? What technologies do you require to operate your environment? And then being able to identify what all of those are. And then from that point, identify what's the most critical. What is an area that if it was not protected or secure, that if it was taken down would be the most detrimental to productivity or potentially physical harm to employees or product. And then identifying ways that you can implement security around those key areas. Or identifying your crown jewels and the most important assets, the most important data that you have, and ensuring that those are safe first and secure first. And once you start there, you can then look at some of the other things that are more, a couple steps down from that. You take care of all the important things, and then you start looking to see what else you can do to improve your security posture. If you try to do everything at once, you might just start chasing the shiny object. Like,
right.
Oh, let's do this. I heard that we can implement that and these other things.
Yeah.
But you might not get the results that you want. And by coming up with a good strategy and revisiting that strategy over and over again to ensure that you've met the security measures that you wanted to, that you're getting the results and the outcomes out of that security implementation to drive the outcomes that you need. Whether it's being more secure, whether it's utilizing secure remote access technologies because you have a lot of remote employees, whether it's using an IDS solution because you need to make sure that there's no anomalous things happening within your environment, whether that's using switching technology to segment your network to ensure that the areas that you don't want people in are secure.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point about prioritization and focus, because in the security game, if you do things at the good level, that means you've got holes in the net, right, type of thing. So you really do have to have a pragmatic and thoughtful progression, and then do great, right? Well, that's interesting, and you talked about some of the segmentation and so forth, and you mentioned visibility in there. There's some good prescribed steps, to progress with that, and I'm sure that Rockwell, as well as with Fortinet, can help our customers guide us through this cybersecurity journey with them.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we're here to help. We want to be able to understand our customers' needs and be able to help drive the outcomes that are going to make them more productive. Because at the end of the day, our customers want to be focused on productivity and what they do best versus managing all of these security things that our companies can really help them drive those outcomes.
Right. Interesting, Nick. The other part that comes to my mind is that this is a continually shifting environment, whether that be the bad actors and the new approaches that they have, or it's the new tech coming to the factory floor, that there's this continual shifting of sands of the environment or moving of the goalposts. So talk to us a little bit about how the Rockwell and Fortinet combination of solutions is also evolving to meet those new needs.
So from a Rockwell Automation perspective, we're adding new features and capabilities to our services all the time. We're really trying to keep a pulse on what's going on in the environment, what's happening in customers' infrastructure, and being able to provide the solutions that are going to achieve the outcomes that they're looking for. And then in partnership with Fortinet, utilizing technology like FortiEDR and other capabilities, as we build up our SOC capabilities and our security monitoring and response, those are going to be new ingestion points. So for us, we want to be able to meet customers where they are. So as they're making investments into a variety of different tools, that they don't need to invest in something new, that we can provide an offering that will encompass what they already have as an install base and bring that in so we could drive those outcomes with our team, with our SOC, and with our SOC analysts.
Got it. Okay, so as we are bringing new technology and new solutions, we're still at a point in time and there's a maturity curve. So talk to us about how we're continually maybe reassessing that, or maybe proving out, or never sitting still as far as security is concerned. Could you elaborate on that a bit?
Absolutely. So we talked about that initial assessment to understand kind of where they are. But that initial assessment is ongoing. The threat landscape's always expanding. Threat actors are getting more complex on the things that they can do. There's new ways that an environment can become vulnerable. So being able to be ahead of that, or at least in line with that, requires you being able to assess your environment over and over again. And you might think that you've covered these vulnerabilities, but new vulnerabilities are going to keep coming up. So being mindful of it's not only a single point in time that you're trying to secure, it's kind of a lifetime adventure of securing your infrastructure to ensure that you can maintain being as productive as possible.
If you're interested to learn more about cybersecurity, please contact your Rockwell Automation cybersecurity expert or a Fortinet OT cybersecurity expert, and we'd be more than happy to talk with you about your cyber journey.